Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, and get ready, because what you're about to hear is not just another political story. This is a deep dive into a turning point, a shift in power, and a showdown that has left an entire nation holding its breath. Subscribe now, because by the time we reach the end, you'll understand why missing a single update could leave you behind. For months, the political atmosphere has been thick with whispers. Alliances cracking, behind-the-scenes battles intensifying, and powerful figures moving in silence. And in the middle of this growing storm stands General Mkhwanazi, a man many thought had been cornered, silenced, or pushed aside by forces working overtime to undermine him. But tonight, we unpack the moment everything changed. Because this is the moment Mkhwanazi strikes back. Not with chaos. Not with emotion. But with sheer, calculated precision. For weeks, analysts noticed something. The people calling themselves his opponents were suddenly quiet. Meetings behind closed doors. Nervous statements. Unusual delays in public appearances. A subtle shift, barely visible at first, but unmistakable to those paying attention. Something was happening. Something big. And then, reports began circulating about moves that were impossible to ignore, strategic actions, perfectly timed responses, and a tightening of control that made one thing clear. Mkhwanazi was done playing defense. This was the beginning of the fall of his enemies. The turning point wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was precise. A single decision. A single statement. A single action that flipped the board. Observers said it felt like a political earthquake, the type that happens quietly at first, then spreads like shockwaves through the entire system. Suddenly, doors that were once open to his rivals began to close. Support that his opponents relied on began shifting. And the very foundation their strategies stood on began to crack. Not because of aggression, but because Mkhwanazi knew exactly where to strike and when. This is the moment viewers began asking. What is he planning next? How far will this counter-strike go? Are we watching a complete reversal of power? This uncertainty is exactly why you need to watch till the end. And here's where things get truly intense. One by one, the forces that once stood firmly against him began to falter. Not because they were attacked, but because their own internal fractures started to surface. It was like watching a domino effect. Conflicting messages within their ranks. Pressure from supporters demanding explanations. Strategic errors piling up. Public confidence shaking. Meanwhile, Mkhwanazi, calm and steady, continued executing his strategy, never rushing, never reacting emotionally. Just moving one step at a time, as if he had already predicted every response his opponents would take. That's when the narrative changed. That's when the public started seeing something they hadn't seen before. His enemies were collapsing under their own weight. With each passing day, the shift became more visible. Those who once tried to corner him suddenly found themselves cornered. Those who spoke against him began walking back their words. Those who underestimated him were forced to reckon with his influence. And the question hanging in the air. Was this his plan all along? Whatever the case, the outcome was unmistakable. Mkhwanazi had taken back control. Not through force, but through strategy. Not through chaos, but through timing. This is why people across the nation are watching closely, because the return of control is never the end of the story. It's the start of something even bigger. As alliances shift, as old power structures crumble, and as new ones rise, one thing is clear: the game has changed. The players have changed. And the direction of the entire political landscape may never be the same again. This moment, right now, is the beginning of a chapter people will talk about for years to come. But the most important question remains. What happens next? And believe me, you're going to want to stay tuned, because the next part of this story could be even more explosive. If you've watched this far, then you already know, this story is far from over. So do yourself a favor. Subscribe, tap the notification bell, and make sure you never miss the next update. Because the next chapter might arrive without warning, and when it does, you'll want to be among the first to know. Hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video with someone who needs to see it.